So what does focus mean to you?
To me, it means that he needs to be able to, even if he gets distracted, because it happens, that he needs to be able to come back to me. Even if he gets distracted, he needs to be able to come back to look at me or be aware of what I need.
That's very
Does that
good.
make sense?
Yep, it does. And it's much the same to me. Just for fun, I pulled up the Merriam-Webster definition of focus because I get really, really annoyed with people that think their dog needs to like stare at them nonstop in public. Their service dog, that is. It's just
No, because
that's not the kind of life I want for my dog.
No, that's a formal obedience heel, and that's not something that should be taught
Yeah.
for.
Well, and it's not
Dog.
a proof of
Or-
focus. But so
No.
the Merriam-Webster definition of focus is the center of activity, attraction, or attention. It's the point of concentration. Where is your concentration focused? Not where is your eye contact focused, or where are your ears pointing? Where is your brain paying attention to? And I mean, obviously we all multitask all day long, every day. So we're used to multitasking. So for me, what I want from my dogs is a focus that no matter what they're seeing, they can still hear and follow my lead. So, and depending on environment, if we're in a louder environment, I'm going to be using more hand signals than body language. And if we're in a quieter environment, I'm going to be doing whispers. But I want to be able to offer them cues as direction and guidance, and they can still hear it. And even if they don't perform it perfectly, because, you got all of that intelligent disobedience and whatnot, I want them to be able to acknowledge that they heard it and they're aware enough, they understand it, and they may have something better that's better for us as a team. So not necessarily disobedient, but like if I'm telling them to downstay and they see something coming that I don't see coming, that's going to be a hazard, and they're trying to get us, back or forward a foot or something to be out of that hazard way. I want my dog to be able to allow that.
An example of that would be if you're facing your dog trying to get the downstay and they see a shopping cart and the mom with the little kid coming.
Right.
Not doing the downstay is intelligent disobedience. For me, focus is my dog is in tune to me with whatever sense, whether it's him leaning against my leg or touching my hand, looking at me, listening to what I'm doing, but he's connected to me. Like right now I'm being stared at
with at least one of the senses,
but it's one of the senses. And so I'm throwing food at that because I do want that, but I want him aware of what's going on, and I don't care how many senses he's using. So we have Ashlyn and Sarah. And Sarah, did you see in the notation on the on Penny's, when Penny put the form up, that it would always include closed captioning? I think you have.
Now that I know how to
do it. I saw that and I appreciate that very much.
Now that I know how to do it, it will always be there. If I forget, if it's not there, just a reminder and I'll get it there.
So we're asking everybody what their definition of focus is, what it means to you personally. Does it mean to you with regards to your dog? So Sarah, you're up next, and Ashlyn, you're on deck.
Okay, well, for me, George is a hearing dog, so kind of coming with the territory is he needs to be focused not just on me, but on what's going on around us. So he won't be healing and staring straight into my eyes when I'm walking around town with him. Like recently, I guess He's been solid on all his tasks for a while, but one we added recently was stopping for cross traffic. So especially near roads, he's more attentive. You can see his ears paying attention to the road instead of me. And then if something happens, he'll turn to me and do what he needs to do.
Mhm.
But I don't expect the locked eyes all the time.
That was pretty much my opinion too. So
Yeah.
I'll just say that much. The rest of it is recorded, but yeah. And it bugs me when I see somebody expecting the locked eye the whole time. I need my dog to be aware of our surroundings. I don't want him so locked onto me that he can't see other hazards in our environment.
Well,
Well,
anybody who's done,
especially for PTSD dogs too, because they need to be aware of what's in your getting close to your bubble for PTSD dog.
Right.
right, but I mean, people have lost obedience points in the obedience ring because their dog didn't see it, what they were being directed, like being directed over a jump because they were too focused on the handler. So it's not just in the service dog world that that happens, but you know, it doesn't make sense on any level. You're going to screw up your dog's neck, and
Yeah.
your dog's not aware of what's going on. Like Nick needs to be aware of what to get out of the way of, whether he's a, you know, he's not a hearing dog, but he still needs to be able to. There's times, you know, I got on Zoom an hour early because I was like having issues. I've been having issues all week. There's times I'm having issues and I'm so foggy. I need him to kind of like do the buffer, be a buffer for me in a way, or, you know, get kind of like just navigate me around hazards. And because, and usually just having the dog there is enough. But, you know, so he needs to be aware enough to know what, or if he's doing a momentum task, he needs to be aware enough of what's going on that he's not staring up into my eyes. I'll expect that in the ring, but I also expect him, if I'm going to give him a cue, I expect him to be looking, to be watching, but I use my whole body to give cues. I do it, and I do it subtly. I don't bark cues at my dog in the ring.
Right.
I don't bark cues at my dog in the store. So let's see. And then Ashlyn, do you have a definition of what heal is to you, or
Not heal.
if focus is to you?
So she just posted in the chat. It says, my focus is more just listening to me, not all eyes on me.
I think we
Yeah.
kind of have a consensus there.
Yeah, we're all pretty close to the same. Yeah.
Okay, here's another good one. So do you teach focus as a cue? And if so, when do you use it?
So I think it's, as a trainer, I hear a lot of different people, making sure I'm still there because I'm getting the shady signal connection thing.
You're
But
still
so
here.
I hear a lot of different ways that people use the word focus. You know, some people use that as their make eye contact with me cue. Some people use that as, you know, just you're getting a little too distracted, rein it back in. That's kind of more what I do with Azul. If I say focus, it means what are you missing? What about me are you not paying attention to right now? So that's the way that I train that cue. But I mean, that's his general, like, overall focus. He's obviously focused on more than just me in the environment. He's focusing on a lot. But when I say focus, it means he needs to stop and check me and everything around me to see if it's something that he needs to be doing differently, whether that's he's getting too far stretched out in his heel, or he's pushing me into the wall and not realizing what he's doing because he's looking at something else, you know, or whatever. Just that's how I train the word focus and what I want. And I know there's a lot of different things there, but so I very rarely use it as a cue, but it's more or less just a hey, like a heads up, you know? And that's it. It doesn't really mean any one thing. It doesn't mean eye contact. It doesn't mean heel closer. It doesn't have a specific meaning in that. It's just figure out what it is you should be doing right now.
Mhm.
So,
I don't necessarily use the word focus, mainly because I practiced with Shasta with a lady who I really liked a phrase she used. Because for eye contact, I use watch me. That's just how I learned the eye contact thing. But the lady that I used to practice with, I liked the phrase she used because it really helped with rude people sometimes too. She used the phrase mind your business with her dog. And it works with rude people too, because they would think she was saying it to them.
right.
And what it meant to the dog was come back to what you're doing for me. If they were getting off task or whatever, like you were talking about, Penny, maybe
Right.
just come back to me. But the people, it also reminded people that maybe they were being rude without actually saying it to them. And you'd
Right.
be surprised, it gets their attention sometimes on the people, just get out of my space, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, but it worked well for her dog too. So sometimes I use that. I until I got in the online community, I had never actually used the word focus, just because I never had a trainer that used it. You know, I think it's a lot of it is who you train with.
Right.
So,
And
but I,
what
Ashlyn-
is comfortable to you.
Yeah.
Ashlyn said she uses eyes, um, but it's to making a check-in with her.
Yeah. I use the word look
Yeah.
for that. So a lot of times I actually just use his name. If he's doing something else and I just say his name, I'm not going to say it right now because he's trying to sleep right behind me, but that usually makes him look at me. But if he's really struggling with something, I can also use the cue look, which will get momentary eye contact if I need a check in that he's not offering. He offers check ins so regularly that I very rarely cue it.
Unless he's really distracted. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. If there's another dog around, I might cue it once in a while. And it's not like one of our friends or someone that we're training with. If a new dog enters the scene that he hasn't seen yet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What about you, Sarah?
I just don't train an eye contact cue for obedience related stuff. I guess I have added one in recently, but only for hunting. And it's more just hold still, look at me, I'm about to tell you something.
Right.
That's either a single whistle or pop.
Yeah, I think that's almost the opposite of what I do, only because like I teach it as a word, but very early on, my hope is to fade it out and never use it again once I've established the good check-in. So I use it as a means to teach the check-in, but once I have the check-in, I never use it anymore. Very, very rarely.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and with Nick, I've done different things depending on what's going on, because depending on how bad he's trying to lose it and how amped up he is, I do things from varying. He's got a distraction noise that we use a lot that is basically, it's like a noise. And what it does is, oh, I'm sorry, I did that and I didn't give you, looked at me and I didn't throw food at you.
You were
I mean,
told
I got
off. You were told off.
I was told off without saying anything. But he's now he's being insistent on this. But there's worse things than having your dog stare at you at night on his bed, from his bed while
Ashlyn
you're in a
agreed
Zoom
with
call.
us that she doesn't use it often either.
But I will also use that it's none of your business. And then, but that's to him. and I have not, he knows leave it, but usually if I'm really trying to get my message across to a rude person, that's where I like to use the leave it, because that's giving the cue to the person that's, when I'm trying to work. The other day I was waiting for class. My other trainer, Sarah, was working with a student. The dog was somewhat reactive. I started to go over there. I realized the dog was reactive. I dropped something. Nick wouldn't pick it up. So I was trying to get him to pick it up. We were trying to hide behind milk bones at the same time. And this lady came up, and I'm actively squatting down on the floor with my dog, trying to get him to pick this, trying to even get a nose touch out of him at this point. And she's trying to get me to get her little daughter to be able to pat him. And then she follows me around the store, trying to be able to get me to let the child pat the dog. And it's like, no, you lost any possibility of your daughter patting the dog.
Yeah,
Azul
definitely.
pretty much
Probably.
knows if a stern leave it comes out of my mouth, that it's meant for the people around and not him.
Yeah, not him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and so this is a fun one for all of us. So what is your favorite way to teach focus?
I
Yeah,
hold a treat next to my nose.
that is how I teach eye contact. Yep, that is. So there's a couple of different games that I play to get beyond the eye contact into the the pay attention to what I'm doing next kind of thing. So one of them is, and I've actually seen a couple of other trainers call it a couple of other names. I can't remember it. I've always referred to it as the positions game, because I use a lot of hand targets and I can pretty much get Azul to take any position anywhere around me just by holding a hand target in the general area. And I don't even have to wait for his nose to touch it. The second I put a hand target, he knows where I want his body to be based on the shape of my hand. So starting, let's see, I probably started playing when Azul was only 5, 6 months old, as kind of like almost like the icebreaker of games we did before we went into any training session inside someplace else. So it was like my run of the check of how focused is he right now. And we would play until I actually had good focus before we would start our training session. And that's just, it's still one of our favorite games. We can whip that out and play anywhere, because all I need is hands in my mouth, because I'll use my mouth for verbal praise and love on him. And every now and then he'll make a really, I call it a silly mistake, because I swear he does it on purpose. And it'll be like, he'll like rise above and beyond whatever the challenge is of my hand target and do something funny to make me laugh. And then we'll end the game in laughter. So almost losing the focus, but it's just very rewarding and motivating for him. So that is probably one of my go-to games that I try to teach everyone else too.
So
how do you do it though?
Oh, I do have YouTube videos on my YouTube channel there, but it's pretty simple with, do you teach hand targets in general?
Yeah.
Okay. So you basically, like, I start out with, if Azul heals on my right, typically. So with my left hand, I'll start with just the, putting the hand down at his nose level, but so that he has to stand in front of me kind of sideways. And that's usually the first position. And then I might take that hand and switch it for my left hand and take him back into the heel position. And so I'll start with like 2 positions and switch back and forth between 2 positions. And then I add in a third position. And one of our all-time favorite positions, and like my default position when anything is going wrong, is in between my legs. And so we train that one early on, and I throw that in there anywhere in the mix. So I try to really be careful once I have a few positions down, not to repeat them in the same order, because if it's repetitive, then he's getting predictive and doing this, the same thing I did the last time. If I change up the order, then he has to actually focus on me more in order to figure out
Mhm.
what's coming next. So, and then a lot of those positions I do build in keywords for as well, such as the under my legs. So then I can use the hand target or the cue. Actually, for under my legs, I have a bigger body cue, and it's kind of just a little bit of a slide. Like I'll take my right leg and just slide it a couple of inches to the right. Originally, it was like over dramatic, but now it's just very subtle. And when he hears that slide, he knows that's his cue to dart between my legs, and he'll try to do it before I get my legs too far apart, specifically just to see if he can beat me to it. So that's always a fun one. But yeah, we basically just any kind of position I need him to get into, I build it into the game session when we're playing. I've also used like a tug toy to reinforce it and done like figure eights around my legs and full circle around my body and stuff like that, just to get him comfortable being anywhere around, you know, if I had a center bubble around me, anywhere in my bubble that I need him. And then I actually apply that when I'm doing like early public access training. So if I need him to step between me and the cart and hold position for a little while, I'll do the same thing. I'll use the same hand target that we use in the game to get him to go there. So if I need him to say go in between me and the checkout lane or at the far end of the checkout lane, I can either use the verbal cue that he knows well now or the hand target to come right here, and he'll walk right up and wait there until I tell him what else to do next. So it started as a game, but it's also just helped us function so much better in real life events and scenarios.
Okay.
So,
I can send you the link for my YouTube videos on the game.
so I do something with Nick to teach. I learned it because of Nick. I did that when he was like 4 or 5 months old. We did the Sexier Than a Squirrel challenge, and the first time, and actually, and it wasn't quite enough for him, but it was good icebreakers and it was good orientation. I have one problem aside from him, just losing, I mean, literally losing it when he sees certain things. His other big problem is a problem I want, and that is he will not go away from me. I mean, he's glued to me. He's really glued to me. It's hard to get him to go away to practice things like recalls. It has to be a formal recall. And that was from doing from doing the games. It's middle, it's go around me, it's go run through my legs, it's doing leg weaves, it's doing, I mean, there's just a variety of things. If you saw the video I posted tonight, another one I commented on about having closed captions and adaptability and accessibility from Absolute Dogs, with the guy in the chair having the little dog run all, I mean, it was clearly sped up. But it's games that I think just about that could be adapted for just about anybody to teach proximity. So that, so if you have a person that's a client that's unable to bend over to do reward while they're doing something with their dog, either don't do that one particular cue or you modify it. But it's a really good, it's things, throw a treat out, drop a treat near you. It's a bunch of different things where you have your dog go away from you and come back and ping back to you, and playing those kinds of games. But that video, I think it has all of the games in at least once from the program. And if you do them and the dog actually learns the games, which they generally do, even before they learn the games, they're not going to be a dog that's running all over the neighborhood without you. So, and they're going to be hard to even get, get away from to teach a stay, or, to do a recall, more to teach a recall. So, and I don't think it's just because Nick's a poodle, because Poe, when I started doing it with her, was having the same response, more so,
Right.
and she's never been anything but aloof.
Anybody else?
That's cool.
I've forgotten the question. that we were discussing. Could maybe refresh.
Okay, hang on. I gotta shorten. Let's see. What games do you use to teach focus?
You're okay.
Okay. Well, I guess for me, I just recently started doing anything like that. I honestly just had him sit, and when he was bouncing around out in a field, and the second he made eye contact, I'd launch a tennis ball for him at first. And over time, we turned it into
Nice.
actually doing cues.
Yeah,
after
that's
he
nice.
makes eye
Mhm.
contact.
What about like the general, like paying attention to kind of focus, not just eye contact? So
I
what
guess
games do you play to help him tune in more to what you're doing?
Okay, so like I guess tonight we had a kennel club meeting that we went to, and I was a little worried he wasn't paying attention to me at all as we walked up to the restaurant. So I made myself a little more fun and made sure that he was healing with me. So like I took a couple of jogging steps away from the car, and then I slowed way down, and then I backed up, and then I sped up. And every time he paid attention to me and matched where I was going, I would just be like, "Yay, you did it. Great
Those
job."
are those are good games to play. I do that with all my dogs too, especially when teaching loose leash walking and collar responsiveness to collar or leash pressure.
Mhm. I've always called that my quick stop game, because that's what the Zool's cue for picking up the pace if we need to like get across the road or whatever. If I need him to pick up the pace, I'll say quick, and kick up my speed a little bit, and he will too. But so when we're practicing, especially if we're practicing in an area with our hands-free leash that we use most of the time, or off leash, even in the backyard with a long line, when I'm doing it, we do quick as long as I can possibly do the quick, which is not very long because I'm not a speed person. But so as long as I can, and then I'll go, kind of like stop, and see how fast we can stop, and if we can stop at the exact same time or not. And so we'll
Yeah.
do that a few times. That really helps grab in his focus too.
Well, as an older dog, I've noticed that the stuff, the exercises that you do that for rally really make Nick pay attention, because he knows the hand cues, and when we're doing it, he knows he has to watch what I'm doing, because he knows because like all dogs, he uses body language more than he uses his hearing to understand me. And so if I give him a go round cue, he knows what that is, versus if I give him the heel cue, versus if I give him the down cue, and he's usually pretty quick with it, but he doesn't know. And then we do pop out puppy push-ups, where it's between different positions, sits, down, stands. So those are good things too.
Mhm.
Especially like if you're in a distracted environment and you're trying to get them to just kind of like calm down a little bit.
I just want to
Rhea,
give you a heads up that we have 5 minutes. So
then we need to get Rhea and Ashlyn going.
mhm.
Yeah, I already talked to Ashlyn.
Okay.
Any great games you like, Ashlyn, for trying to get Lily to focus in on you a little bit more? She's probably typing.
Mhm. Lily,
Oh, hand
Lily's
targets and puppy push-ups.
I was going to say, Lily's a lab. She probably came out of the womb focused. They're either completely focused or unfocused.
Yep. I'd say most dogs are that way, either completely unfocused or completely focused. No, the 5-month-old golden retriever puppy I'm working with this week has a really great attention focus, like she's picking up heels super, super fast. But the second she hears or sees a person, it's gone. I mean, it's just there's no in between. It's just gone. She's getting better though. But still, it's just
Well,
funny
I'm
to
trying
see
to
that.
figure out. I'm trying to figure out whether Nick's a pointer or a retriever. You know, whether he fits into the lab or where he fits in the hunt category, so I can figure out how to train him. Because I know he's not a
He's a bird
spaniel.
dog.
Yeah, but retrievers, Goldens don't do all the same things that some of the other ones do. So I'm not sure where poodles fit because people don't typically don't hunt with poodles the same way they used to.
Well,
you know,
nobody
Sarah?
wants to groom them.
They shave them.
Guinness thinks he's
I
a
mostly
bird
see
dog.
upland hunting poodles. So
Upland?
doing spaniel stuff.
Doing what? Quiet.
Upland, so like spaniel type stuff, hunting quail and pheasants. But some do retrieving.
I think Louders do, the Louder Creek does retrieving.
Mm-hmm.
So, but every hunt test training place I've looked at has been board and train. And first we'll teach a forced hold, and then we'll train them to use we'll start with e-collar training. I'm like, no, not on my dog. I mean, he's a mobility service dog. What's his main task? Retrieving.
Right.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think, Sarah? He damn well better be able to hold a bird.
Yeah, Azul would
Yeah.
love that.
Guinness says death to all ravens. That's his thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't promise the bird in Azul's mouth would be alive, but it
Yeah,
wouldn't
Guinness
be
either.
damaged really. He has a very soft, gentle mouth, but
I think Poe would curl up with it and try and nurture it, and Nick would bring it back and retrieve it. And we know George would bring it back.
all right. Wrap up. We got less than 2 minutes.
Okay. Well, we have another one scheduled for next week. So if you guys want to put it on your calendar, and we're going to keep bringing up different topics and questions for for each week, so that we can kind of talk about, what our struggles are, or maybe what, different aspects of it. Right now, we have all our positive trainers. I did invite a balanced trainer, God forbid. But I thought, one of my thinking with this, I know this is kind of Penny's group, but one of my thoughts with this is by including people who aren't strictly R positive in a manner where we're not shaming them and keep it from becoming a shaming match. We don't shame anybody's equipment. That's the ground rule or methods.
That's the rule of my group as well. So,
and invite them and show, discuss what we are doing with our
you're
dogs.
going to get cut off.
Let's do it. Invite who you want.
Yes. Invite everybody. The more, the merrier.
Yep. All right. See you guys next week.
Ow.
See you next
Off.
week.
Okay, see you later. Off.
Bye.
Guinness, you're being very naughty. Off.